But in a small town where the streets were quiet and the evenings gentle, lived an old postman named Arthur O. For 40 years, he was more than just a mail carrier. He was a keeper of secrets, a messenger of joy, and sometimes a bearer of sorrow. Every day he delivered letters filled with hopes, dreams, and memories, connecting the hearts of the people in his town. But among the countless letters that passed through his hands, there was one he never managed to deliver. It was a letter he had kept close to his heart for many, many years. Every morning, as Arthur opened his worn-out leather bag, his fingers would brush against a special envelope tucked safely in a small, hidden pocket. It was a pale pink envelope, its edges softened by time. It had never been opened, and it had never been returned to sender. The name on it was simply Aisha, written in a shaky, youthful handwriting. The address was a place Arthur knew well, a house on the edge of town that had long been quiet. He had tried to deliver it once, decades ago, but the house was empty. The neighbors said the family had moved away suddenly, leaving no forwarding address. So he held on to it, feeling a strange responsibility for this lost piece of someone's story. Over the years, the letter became his silent companion. He often wondered what was inside. Was it a love confession? A final goodbye? A secret promise? The mystery of the pink envelope was a weight he carried on his route each day, a small but constant reminder of an unfinished task. He could have discarded it, but something stopped him. It felt like holding onto a fragile shard of hope, and he couldn't bring himself to let it go. One cold winter evening, as the first snowflakes began to fall, Arthur finished his final delivery. He sat in his small, cozy home, the warmth of the fireplace casting a soft glow on his tired face. He looked at his old mailbag hanging by the door and knew he could uncarry the weight of that letter any longer. The uncertainty had become too heavy. With a deep breath and a resolve that had been building for 40 years, he decided it was time. He put on his coat, grabbed the pink envelope, and walked out into the swirling snow. He made his way to the address written on the letter, an old house, with a broken fence and a garden that no longer bloomed. It looked just as forgotten as it did all those years ago. Weeds had claimed the flower beds, and paint was peeling from the wooden porch. He hesitated for a moment, his heart pounding in his chest. Was this foolish? What if no one was there? But he had to know. He walked up the creaky steps and knocked gently on the door. A few moments passed, and just as he was about to turn away, the door creaked open. An elderly woman stood there, her frame small and her face etched with the lines of a long life. Her eyes, though tired, held a deep, kind light. Arthur felt a lump form in his throat. He held out the pink envelope, his hand trembling slightly. "Madam," he began, his voice raspy with emotion. "This letter, it has been waiting for you for a very long time." The woman looked at the envelope, and her body froze. A gasp escaped her lips. Tears immediately filled her eyes as she recognized the faded ink. This is my son's handwriting," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Her hands trembled as she took the letter from him, treating it as if it were the most precious thing in the world. With shaky fingers, she carefully opened the seal. Inside was a single piece of paper, a simple, heartfelt message written all those years ago. "Mum, I'm sorry. I'll come home soon." The woman Ayesha pressed the letter to her heart, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. She looked up at the sky as if speaking to someone far away. "I waited for him," she whispered, her voice thick with a lifetime of grief and love. "I waited every single day." She explained that her son had run away after an argument, and she never saw him again. He had passed away years later, far from home, and she had always lived with the pain of their unresolved parting. Arthur felt a deep ache in his chest, a mix of sorrow for her loss and relief that the message had finally found its home. He said gently, "Some letters reach their destination late, but they still reach the right place." Aisha looked at him, a sad but beautiful smile gracing her lips through her tears. "No," she said softly. "It didn't arrive late. It reached me right on time." She explained that the next day was the anniversary of his passing, and this letter felt like a final gift, a sign that he was at peace and that he loved her. In that moment, under the gentle falling snow, something shifted within Arthur. The weight he had carried for 4 decades, the burden of the undelivered letter, simply lifted from his shoulders. He had finally completed his duty. As he walked home, his steps felt lighter than they had in years. He realized that sometimes the smallest act of kindness, of holding on to hope for someone else, can become the biggest, most meaningful moment in a person's life. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking and subscribing for more content like this.